In this episode of Roma Custom Bike, we'll apply some silver leaf to my gas tank. Hey folks, I'm Custom Chess for Roma Custom Bike and I'm back from summer vacation with a brand new episode. I'll try to shed some light on the process of gold leafing, or in this case, silver leafing. Before I start, I would like to shout out to my friend Jake from Barstorm Cycles in Spencer, Massachusetts that I went to see over the summer and gave me this t-shirt that I'm wearing right now, along with some new stickers that are featured right here. Now, let's begin by preparing all the stuff we'll need for the project, starting with a leaf made of real silver, some glue that for leafing is called size, don't ask me why, but for some reason that's what it's called, a soft brush medium size, and a piece of soft felt. Before starting, I want to assemble a little tool that I'll need to make little circles called engine turn, typical of this technique. To make it, I'll use a pencil, a bit of cotton that I'll make into a little ball and place it on the flat end of the pencil. Then I use the piece of felt to enclose the cotton, and some tape to keep it all together. This will be a tampon that we'll use to make the engine turn texture. Now that I have all I need for the project, I can proceed with applying the size. There are quite a few different sizes, especially here in Italy. Most of them are water-based because they're for furniture gilding. But after a bunch of research, I found out that the one-shot fast-dry gold size would be the most appropriate for this project. The main issue with laying the leaf is figuring out the most appropriate time to do so. The size has to be dry enough so that if you touch it, it won't leave a fingerprint, but still sticky, or as they say, tacky. Since I don't want to do this test on the final product and risk leaving some prints that might show through the leaf, I'll start with making a test patch on a scrap piece of aluminum. I've already practiced on this piece and I figured out that at my temperature and humidity level, the size will reach optimal condition in about half an hour. So now I can start brushing the size onto the gas tank that I've prepared in the last two episodes. If you haven't seen them, you can click right here on this box or the link in the description to check them out. You'll notice that I've masked out all the areas I don't want the size to go on, leaving only the design exposed. I used a soft medium brush to lay a thin layer of size onto the tank, making sure to cover every area I want the leaf to stick to. I don't need to worry about the stroke lines because they will self-level pretty quickly. Once done, I start a clock just to keep track of time, because the real measure of when to apply the leaf will be done by testing the spare piece. I immediately start removing the masking tape while the size is still fresh to avoid any problems later on. While we wait for the size to dry, I'd like to remind you that if you want to support the show, you can do so by subscribing and clicking on the subscribe button right there, and most of all sharing our videos on Facebook, Twitter and Google+. You have already helped me so much growing this channel and I really appreciate it. But let's get back to our process. After only 8 minutes, I know that the size ain't ready, but I still want to show you what it looks like when you want to determine that it's too soon to apply the leaf. When I touch the test piece, you can see that I leave a clear fingerprint on the size. So it's too soon and we have to wait some more. Half hour has gone by and now the fingerprint is barely visible, while the squeaky test yields a sound pretty close to what we're looking for. But let's wait just a little bit more. Another 4 minutes have gone by and the squeak test is just about right. The fingertips leaves pretty much no print on the size, and when testing it with the knuckle, the surface feels nice and smooth. It's ready to go! Now we have about 15 minutes to apply the leaf, so let's begin right away. I take one sheet at a time, leaving the leaf attached to the paper support sheet. I lay delicately on the size, and I apply a little bit of pressure with my finger and try to avoid wrinkles. Once it's sticking, I remove the support sheet without worrying about the excess leaf, because I'll take care of that later. The remaining piece of leaf attached to the support paper can still be used to fill small holes and patches.
In history and what you're doing.
The process continues with a new sheet and so on until the sized area is covered completely. It's a very delicate process, but it's actually easier and more forgiving than what it looks like.
Reason not to take you down and I want you. Let me come fuck up your life like you have with mine and I want you. I've seen something you don't want them to see. I've seen
Now that all the design is covered with silver, it's time to remove the excess leaf. And for this, I've stolen a nice makeup brush from the wifey. Now, let's hope she doesn't notice.
Yo, Chaz! Where the hell is my makeup brush?
Uh-oh, she noticed. Well, I guess she made yet another sacrifice for the show. But with extreme caution, I start removing the excess leaf. I'd like to mention that for all the tests I've done before this project, I've used fake silver leaf. And after using the real silver, I have to say that I prefer the fake one. Number one is cheaper, it makes straighter, more detailed edges, and it doesn't oxide like the real thing. So be warned, if you start this process, try to get the leaf clear coated within a day or two, because it might begin to oxidize and yellow, and that's not nice. So as I continue to remove the excess, the design starts to be revealed, and so far it looks good.
If you didn't just forget to mention, life is not a game. There's no truth, there's no rules. All that matters is if you get
Done! Now it's time to make the engine turn design. This is not a difficult process, but it requires a bit of finesse and practice. Using the tool we have put together earlier, we begin to make little circles, one next to the other, applying a little bit of pressure while spinning the tool. I suggest you practice this on a test piece before trying it on the final product. Too much pressure will cause scratches on the leaf, revealing the base color, black in this instance. Too little pressure will not create a nice and well-defined circle. It's got to be just right. Ideally, you have to apply enough pressure so that a quarter spin will be enough to produce a nice concentric circle pattern. And this will minimize the chance of scratching while creating a nicely defined texture. Once you get used to it, it becomes pretty simple and quite fun.
if it's meant to be. You'll be goodbye, fitting with the crowd, make your mama proud of you. You'll be goodbye, don't you fuck too much, don't get high too much today. You'll be goodbye.
As I'm working, the design starts to gain depth and the circle starts to reflect light differently depending on the angle of viewing. And there you go, it's done. I'll take a few minutes to observe the final results, and I'm pretty satisfied. Now all I need to do is wait a few more hours to allow for the size to finish drying, and then the leaf needs to be clear coated and protected from elements and oxidation. Finally, the line between the leaf and the base color shall be pinstriped for a final detail. And this is a technique that is used by many but mastered by only a few. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share the episodes on Facebook, Twitter and Google+. And if you really like the show, why not? Tell your friends. I am Custom Chaz and I'll see you in the next episode of Roma Custom Bike.